Hello and welcome to the Go Digital Volunteer Toolkit webinar. Um, Hopefully you have at least heard of the Volunteer Toolkit. We have usually referenced it as the VTK. So if you've heard either of those words, that's the same thing. But hopefully you heard about it either in your troop startup meeting or you've been on one of the webinars previous to this one. So hopefully it's not brand new, but if it is, that's okay. If you have any questions about this webinar or the information presented, please enter that into the question log. I'm Layla Ehlers. I'm a program manager in the Dayton area, and I specialize in volunteer learning and development, and the VTK is kind of my thing. With me today, monitoring those questions, is Becky Sarantu. She's my favorite boss, and she's out of the Toledo office as the program team leader there. So I'm doing a live demo. This is a little different than the other webinars we've done. So I do want to go ahead and just say that sometimes our VTK software with our webinar software, along with some other things, can slow each other down. And so if I experience any technical difficulties, I'll let you know, but I appreciate your patience as that has been known to happen in the past. I also want to shout out a couple handouts we have attached. There's a user guide, there's the benefits and login handout, and we have the user guide for parents as well. So with that, I do want to mention that yes, parents can view the VTK, but they cannot make edits. They can only view the year plan that the troop leaders have set up for the troop. Now, the troop leaders don't have to use the same login, but because you're coded in the same troop, we'll have access to the same account, and you can make all the edits there. So I'm hoping that you can see my screen. I'm going to try to make it a little bigger. Less big. Okay. So this is the VTK. This is a demo site, so it's going to look a little different than the live site, but I'll take you to that one, which is more exactly what your account would look like. But I wanted to show you this one first so that we can click around. Oh, duly noted. There's some updates coming up on October 24th. So they do routine updates. So if you're a late night person, keep an eye out for these update callouts because they usually start around that 11 p.m. mark and go throughout the night. Okay, so when you first log in for the very first time, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the Explore tab, and this is really where you can set things up. This is where you'll make the decision of what track your troop is going to follow. So you have two options here. The build your own option is a great option for those that want to totally customize your year plan, starting from the beginning. Maybe you're working with your girls or you want to work with the troop and decide where do we want to go and build from there. And that's perfectly fine. Another practice is to utilize these pre-selected tracks just to get something going and on the calendar. So I'm going to walk us through this pathway, but I'll connect back to this build your own in a little bit. So here's our pre-selected tracks for daisies. You will see the pre-selected tracks for whatever Girl Scout level you are coded under. So we have these options. Let's choose this new Coding for Good and Outdoor. So you can go through and kind of see a sneak peek of what's that going to look like. And if you see the little badge icons, if you click on those, that gives you a quick detail on how you're going to earn that badge. So you can decide whether or not this is going to be the right option for you. So we've decided this is the one we want to do. So I'm going to select track, yes. And now this is going to populate a calendar. So the calendar is the year plan. So it automatically takes us here. So this is, like I said, it's the calendar. This is really the whole year at a glance. First thing we want to do, we see meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3, but we need to go to manage calendar so that we can set up the official dates of each of these meetings we have planned. So I'm going to start the date. We are going to start this Saturday and 4 p.m. bi-weekly. Perfect. We're going to stick with that. And we want to keep all of these holidays or days of observance in mind. And so it'll skip those days if any of those fall on our calendar, our troop calendar. So I'll update the calendar. Yes. And it automatically sets things up for a 15 meeting plan. Okay. There we go. So now you can see it has not only the order, but it tells you the date and it tells you the time. But you know what we didn't do? We didn't add a location. So you go into the same spot, you can add specific locations. So if you click the calendar by a particular meeting, that'll change the information and the logistics just for that date. So if you go to the settings, but we want to put in a location. The location name is here and the address is 123 right here. And so this is saying applying it to all meetings. You can go back in and change, like I said, those specific meetings if you want to, or as needed. And I do apologize because it is running a little slow. As I mentioned, sometimes these two software pieces take a little time to talk to one another. So you can add, do you want, which of those dates, which of those meeting dates do you want in that location? You can assign to all checked, or you can apply it to all meetings. And we're going to go ahead and apply it to all meetings. So the other tab you see up here, which I'll show you in just a second, is the Activities tab. So the Activities is anything that's not pre-populated in that calendar. It's not a badge, a journey, or an award. It's your troop camp out. It's your service unit event. It's those special occasions. The other thing that is an activity is those registered program events that you register through our activities site. So those council sponsored program events that you might find in the program adventure guide. Okay. So I'm gonna, since I went over the activities part, I'm gonna skip that. But know that you can register for those program events right here from the VTK. It'll give you the prompts to do so. Just make sure you go through the whole process. Just by adding it to your calendar doesn't mean you've actually registered, so make sure you follow the whole process to register for the event. And then those will populate into your calendar in the appropriate date. So the other thing we want to do is maybe we want to rearrange. So I'm looking at, let's see, we're going to do Talk It Up before we do Count It Up. I don't know why we would do that, but we're going to do that. So I can drag and drop simply to change that up. But if I want to combine meetings per se, we can do that in a different way. We can manage the calendar. You can click on the calendar icon and you can decide, okay, when do I want to delete this meeting? Do I want to change the time of it? you can make adjustments there. If we go to see more calendar options, you can do this from that manage calendar option as well. But it's going to let us combine meetings, I hope. Okay, so it pulls up that basic look. So I'm going to combine coding basics. Let's see. So I can cancel it, I can change the date and time, or I can combine. So I'm going to combine coding basics 1 and 2. They're scheduled currently for 2 different dates. And now I'm going to pick the 1 date. And you can see it changed it when I selected it to here. Still have time to change the date or the time. And now when we scroll down in our year calendar, they both say November 9th. So don't be confused because they're still listed separately, and that's because the meeting content is still separate, but the information is still the same, or the logistics are the same. Okay, so say we want to add a badge or journey. This ties back into that select your own piece. These filters are going to look the same. So if you picked that select your own option, you would get similar filters to here. So this is if you started with this pre-selected track, say, and you were like, you know what, I like this, but we also want to add some additional badges. Or maybe you're a multi-level troop and you have selected all the Daisy badges, but maybe you have some brownies. So you want to add brownie meeting options in here as well. So I'm going to click on Add Badge or Journey. If you know what you're looking for, you can type it in there, but I like to use the filters. And once again, it's going to give me a few issues, but it actually works pretty quickly. I do recommend when you're using the VTK, use Google Chrome. Safari usually works too, but any other internet search engine or any other internet server that's not going to be as compatible. So if you're having issues with the VTK, that'll be the first question that we ask. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, so we have our daisies. Let's bring in some of those brownies. Maybe we do have that multi-level troop. And we want to look for specifically badges and petals. And let's look at what is available for outdoor that we can tie in to those Daisy outdoor badges. And you can select all the categories at the same time as you want. I'm just going to keep our list concise. Okay, so again, you have these kind of floating icons. You can click on it and see exactly what those steps are going to be. All right, so let's pick First Aid 1 and First Aid 2. So notice there's a little tree icon in here. When we get these badges added into our year plan and we look at the meeting plan details, these little tree icons indicate that there's something special, there's an option to change what is maybe usually done as an indoor activity as a more specific outdoor activity. There's another icon they call the global icon that gives an activity an opportunity to elevate it to maybe a take action or looking at things from a broader lens. So something to keep in mind. And I'm going to go ahead and add those two to the year plan. Again, you can add as many as you want. And then if you scroll down, they've automatically been added to the end of your calendar. So what you would do is go back in, and you can either drag and drop to where you want, or you can combine those meetings like we did just a moment ago. You can use those calendar options, or you can go in here to manage calendar. So that's really the basics of the year plan. You can download or print your year plan Remember that parents and caregivers can see this, so they can see what's coming up, which is great. Another thing that I like to show here is this take a guided tour. So it will give you click by click and step-by-step help or assistance on how to complete certain tasks. So that comes in handy for sure. So keep that in mind. And then I'm going to go ahead. So to get to the actual content of the meeting, you can click directly on the meeting, or you can click the meeting plan tab. I'm going to click directly on the meeting. And now we're in the meeting plan tab. So it gives you a quick look at what this badge or this meeting has to offer in the quick glance. And then you have planning materials. These are PDFs of the content and what you're going to need. So the meeting overview is just that. It's going to give you an overview, but it's also going to give you, okay, I need this. Here's some other additional tips to keep in mind. It'll tell you how to be prepared and some additional information there. The activity plan is step by step. Here's the materials you're going to need for each activity from the moment you walk in to that meeting. Here's what you can say. So it's almost scripted. So if you're just getting started and you're like, I don't even know where to begin, this is a great tool. If you already have some plans, or maybe you don't plan on following the exact activity guide to complete that badge, which is fine. We, as long as we complete those steps, there's flexibility with how we get there. You don't have to follow, you would maybe not be as interested in these very specific steps. So there's a use for everybody, or use level for everybody. So use it how it makes sense to you and your troop. The materials list is just your shopping list for the activities for this meeting. Then there's manage communications. This is a great little tool here. Edit and send the meeting reminder email. So you can send this to the caregivers and parents after your meeting, and it'll tell you, you can add other emails. Otherwise, it's going to pull it off your roster, and I will actually show your roster towards the end. So this just says, here's what's coming up in our next meeting. This is editable, but this plays off of the order of your year plan. But you can add additional information. You can give a wrap up of what we did today. Here's what's coming next. And then record attendance and achievements. So record who was there. And then that again will show up in your roster. And then as we scroll down, we have meeting aids. I'm not going to click on any of these because they are videos, and I promise they will probably struggle to play within this webinar software. So I do apologize for that. But meeting aids are in PDF form, or they are in video format, and they are tools to help you within this meeting. It might be a tool you need for an activity, or it might be some additional help to help the leader specifically along the way. You can add additional meeting aids. It'll do a little search, and you can, they are built within the software. Then there's the agenda. So this is the schedule for the day. Notice that this is that little tree icon I mentioned. So there's Action 911, which is the typical one, or there's Rock 911. Depending on which one you choose, that will be reflected up in those documents I mentioned here in that meeting overview, that activity plan, and that materials list. So here, again, just like in that calendar, you can drag and drop. You can click on each item to get the details. You can change the time. You can get rid of an item. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can add an agenda item of your own. The final piece of this is the add a note. Remember I mentioned that parents and caregivers of troop members can view the VTK account. This includes these notes. Not saying everybody's nosing around, but just be mindful of what you're putting in there, or make that a tool and say, we're adding additional details. Make sure that you get on the VTK regularly. We'll have meeting details in the notes. So you can use that how you wish, or you can use that as a reminder for yourself. In this meeting, we need to remember to say this, or we need to give this. So that's meeting plan. So the year plan and the meeting plan tabs are really kind of the key point of the VTK. But one thing that I really love, actually I'm going to skip this resources tab. I'm going to move back to this My Troop tab. This is your troop roster. So this will have the girl information. It'll have her contact information, and any achievements or attendance will be logged here. So as a troop member or the caregiver or parent of a girl in your troop, they can't see all of this information for every girl. They can see all of this information for their girl, and they can edit. They can also go in when it's time. You can re-register or renew your registration from the VTK too. So on the bottom, this would be all the adult members listed. The top is all the girl members. And you can print or you can download that for your reference. So now, like I said, I was on the VTK demo site, and now I'm going to take a look at specifically your view. And the reason I did that is because this demo site starts over every time I get off of here, so I didn't want to mess with any accounts. So I'm going to log on in the same way that you would see it. So from our website, gswo.org, I'm going to go over to My GS, and I'm going to scroll down to Volunteer Toolkit. And I'm going to log in. And hope that was correct. I know you all know my pain with those passwords, am I right? Okay, and we made it. There's that little reminder about the maintenance coming up. This says October 23rd, and that's because this is the live site. They do the demo site after. So yes, October 23rd, 11 p.m. Be aware, so that's just tomorrow if you're here with us live. So you will actually see three options when you log in here. You'll see the volunteer toolkit, you'll see your member profile, your My GS, and then you'll see GS Learn. I'm not going to go into GS Learn today, but you may receive an email from it to log in and access your account. You can absolutely do so. This is our growing volunteer learning library. Right now it's very basic. We're not housing a lot of information in here, but if you're curious, you're welcome to get on there. There is actually volunteer toolkit tutorial videos on here if you want to get to them there. Okay, so volunteer toolkit. And I'm going to click one of the many things we got going on here. Okay. Here's really what I wanted to show you is the resource tab. So yes, those meeting plans are information that's key. However, there's more magic. The resource tab has a wealth of tools, resources, links and PDFs and other documents, all kinds of information for you. So each month, this is a lie. I did actually update this in October, but okay, it just didn't reflect that, but that's up to date. So every month, I actually go in and change this message from your council. So now you know if you find a typo, you know who to call out. This gets changed with important information, just quick call outs, I'll show you again. This is things like Juliet Gordon-Lowe's birthday, other days of observation, importance in Girl Scouting. We may mention things about our product sales programs, like our fall product or cookie sales, or other fun things that we think you might need to know, or additional important information. So from there, you see this Daisy Brownie Junior, Cadet, Senior, Ambassador, and multi-level. So no matter what level your troop is in, you actually have access to all of these. And that's a great way to plan ahead. If you're a multi-level troop, it means you have access to all those tools. But these are items that are more specific to each level. So those awards logs that has each of the badges available or awards available. Bronze award is available for the juniors. You wouldn't see the bronze award guide in Daisy for instance. Some things you'll see in all of them. Some of them are specific to that particular Girl Scout level, but any tool that will guide you um, within a specific Girl Scout level is going to be housed up here. So I will also say the resources here are a blend of GSUSA, our national organization, and then GSWO. So here at Girl Scouts of Western Ohio, we have resources that we've also created and housed here. So there's a lot of different categories you can see. There's troop leadership. There's the family hub. This is really a great tool for parents and caregivers, so you can direct them here if you're getting them on the VTK. Might as well get full use out of it. Safety, not to say they won't find information in other places, but this is a great place to send them. It's also nice that you can share any documents that you see pertinent that you want to make sure that they have. You can check this out too as troop leaders. Safety is important. You have access to our newest version of safety activity checkpoints, any forms that we include in safety, girl safety in general. Then there's training, so there's going to be volunteer learning opportunities, links to our website. There's also some general tips and things that GSUSA has provided. Girl Scout traditions and awards. Again, some of those are going to be national and some of those are more specific to what's going on here in our council. Trips and travel, so troop trips, travel, destinations. You may not know what all of those are yet, but there's a wealth of knowledge surrounding all those processes and opportunities. And then fall product program, that's going on now. This is all up to date, so I encourage you to check that out. Cookie program, we'll keep adding things as it comes our way, a little closer to the actual program start. And then camp and outdoors. So some things that are helpful to know, some training opportunities and such. So we do have a limit to how many items we can add to these categories. So we want to put all of the information in there, but we try to keep the most pertinent. We go in here and change this regularly, at least seasonally, trying to keep up with what you may be needing in that moment. The finance tab. So this is currently actually not open. As of now, the finance tab is only open to add your end of year finance reports. This is where you will go to submit those. Like I said, it's not live right now, so I can't get into it too deeply with you, but keep in mind this is where you're going to go for those end of year annual finance reports. So do know too, a couple things to know about the VTK is it has really only been around for a few years and it has grown and evolved exponentially and it's going to continue to do so. So we try to keep you up to date on what's going on the VTK. We share blog posts. We get on the volunteer support Facebook page. I highly recommend getting on there if you're not there yet. We share updates with our service unit teams, so they hopefully then share that information with you. Your community development manager gets updates. So we try to get that information out in as many ways as possible. Every year for the past several years, we've had what we call program rollout. So when GSUSA releases new badges and new journeys for girls, there's also a big update to the VTK, and that happens in the summertime. So we will keep you informed on that as well. Couple other things to note about the VTK is there is some content that is exclusive to the VTK, meaning you can only find it here on the VTK. So our STEM-based journeys, that's our think like a citizen scientist, think like a programmer, and think like an engineer, and our outdoor journeys. Those are all exclusively found on the VTK, so you can't buy those guides in the shops. I will also note that a lot of our badge booklets, especially for our newer badges, do direct you to additional activities in the VTK. There's just more room online to continually add information and add new opportunities. I also want to say that if you have any questions about the VTK, again, my name is Layla Ehlers, and you can find me at laylaehlers@gswo.org, but the best way to get a hold of us is to call our customer care number. And I apologize, I don't have a slide up with their information, but call customer care. They are at 888-350-5090, or you can email them at customercare@gswo.org. They can either get you to me or get you to the right person, or hopefully be able to answer your question. So all of our customer care team and all of our staff members are trained on the VTK, so they should be able to help in some way. So with that, I think that pretty much gets you through the VTK. So if there are any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat log, or if there's a specific element of the VTK or a process you would like to see repeated, go ahead and let us know and we can do that. We are recording this. You will get this, this live demo sent to you automatically in the follow-up email that will hit your inbox 24 hours from this live webinar. I do ask that you take our survey. So after each of our webinars or any training or any Girl Scout program, we do ask that you fill out an evaluation, and that's so that we can improve your experience or the experience of those after you. So appreciate if you take the time to do that. Again, that will also be in that email, and it is sent from the webinar software, so you'll get it from GoTo. And I don't see any questions, so hopefully that means that I gave you all the answers. With that, I hope that you have a great Girl Scout year. And if you have any questions, again, about the VTK, I'm just going to repeat our customer care number, 888-350-5090, or email them at customercare@gswo.org. And real quick, I should have mentioned this. You can find more information on the VTK on our website. So we're at gswo.org, and then online support for volunteers. And if you scroll down, you'll have the VTK. Eventually, this webinar will be housed there. You have those tutorial videos that I mentioned, and we'll be adding some more information that has recently been shared, such as these user guides that I've attached to this live webinar. Those will be housed there too. With that, thank you so much. Have a great day.